right. So today we are burbling about Only Murders in the Building, Season 2, Episode 3, named The Last Day of Bunny Folger. And this episode mainly follows Bunny's day around Arconia and around New York City. So, Rena, what did you think of this episode?
I was heartbroken watching Bunny in her last moments, especially at the end. I really felt for her. Maybe I saw myself in her about what it would feel like to be in her shoes and the somewhat loneliness of it. I cried.
Like, I can see that. I mean, this episode really humanized her. Like, we see her crying in her on her last day when she gets up and she's trying to rehearse the speech, and then we see her fangirling with Linsanity, and then other people telling her how they're going to miss her as the board president. I mean, of course nobody knows it was going to be her last day, but we see her knowledge and how much she knows a lot about everyone who lives in the building, right? She passes all of that knowledge to Nina. And one of the things that I really like about her is her daily banter with her bestie Uma. Like, they just go on a rant about, where she's going to live and what she's going to do and all that stuff. And then we see her fixing the elevator like a pro, like when the fan, stops and the elevator shuts down. I mean, yeah, I agree. It's so heartbreaking to see that, because in the first season she was shown as this like badass, really harsh woman who's always like on people's case about not paying their building fees or talking about evicting them. So yeah, this season and specifically this episode was just so heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time.
It was, and it was surprisingly deep for me. Not that other episodes aren't, but I resonated a lot with Bunny. That point where she's talking to the waiter and she says, "Don't only love one thing, because when that one thing is gone," and it's very true. I don't know what you do when you lose the reason for living. And for her, it was that building. And her whole identity was wrapped up in managing the Arconia. And I think she realized that late. And I think two things were really pivotal for me. One was she wanted to actually revoke her resignation and still maintain everything. Another was that the kind of deception on Nina's part, that she wanted to change things, and how that broke Bunny's heart, and she was fighting at the end to keep her position. That was very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, she had been the board president for 29 years, and then her mom was the president before her. And then to hear Nina kind of, talk about these plans of how she wants to modernize and monetize Arconia, and then Bunny against it, that was a bit of a deep scene. But then they end up having a serious altercation in front of everybody, and then that kind of makes Nina look like a suspect. But I agree that there is so much to this episode, especially around Bunny and what kind of a person she was. It was interesting and very emotional to see that.
It was. And there's something going on between her and the waiter, financially, and maybe something other than that. But I don't think they went into it enough for us to even guess.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they will do that more in the coming episodes. But yes, Ivan, the waiter, she is so nice to him, and then she gives him like a wad of cash in an envelope, and then talks, something about like 20% or whatever. So yeah, I wonder what that's about. But yeah, like Ivan, I feel like is a new character that was just introduced in episode 3. And remember, Jan was also introduced in episode 3 in the previous season. So who knows, maybe Ivan had something to do with, maybe not directly or maybe not intentionally, but I feel like there is something there for sure.
There is. Who knows what that relationship is, what happened, why there's money. And what about that scene where Bunny puts on the sweatshirt and goes to give them the good champagne, and they
Oh, I
leave her on
know.
outside the
Oh,
door. And they even say, one act of kindness could have saved her life. Like,
yeah.
I normally don't think badly of Mabel, Oliver, and Charles, but at that moment I was like yelling, "Open the door, let her in!" I mean, how do you watch someone break down like that and keep that door closed?
But see, but like it's weird because hindsight is always 2020, right? Because when Charles gets into the elevator, like he kind of feels a little bit of that, but not enough to do something about it. But then again, now that they realize that Bunny was killed, I mean, of course they wanted to be kind to her. So I feel like that was heartbreaking actually, like her just wallowing, like almost like bellowing outside the door. But yeah, I mean, like they didn't know. I'm sure if they had like again, nobody has any inclination of the future, but I'm sure if they had known anything that something like this would happen, they would have let her in.
I don't agree. Forget that she passed away. She gave an olive branch. She kind of, throughout the day, you saw her interacting with them and kind of changing her demeanor. You saw that in the elevator, and then you saw that with her offering them champagne. Why couldn't they have just said, "Come in for a glass"?
But see,
That's
I disagree there because you have to look at from their viewpoint. In the first season, she almost kicked them out. She almost evicted them, and she was nasty to them throughout the first season. Now, if I were to put myself in their position, if somebody was that nasty to me, and if they were like, out of your apartment in like, a week or so or whatever, and them just being nice one time would not change my perception or would not make me be kinder towards them. I'm not saying that I'm a nasty person. I wouldn't be nasty to them, and I don't think that they were nasty to her. They were nice enough to her. It's just that now that that she was killed that night, and then you see this interaction, you feel that they could have been kinder. So I actually don't agree with that. I think that they were nice enough, and they just didn't know. Nobody knew.
even if Bunny didn't die. To me, I think they had an opportunity there and they didn't take it. And we see that in our own lives, the opportunity to be kind. And I guess I've had those situations where it's people I don't like, and I try not to be exclusionary because I think it is sad, especially after they close the door, but when she starts crying not to open the door, come on, you wouldn't do that. I know
uh,
you would not do that.
I mean, again, hindsight is 2020, and we don't know what we would have done in their situation. We can only speculate. But I think this conversation took a little bit of a grim turn here. So I do want to talk about some of the happy moments that I loved. Okay, first of all, can we talk about that cake that they are eating with the gun candle and then the
Oh my
words,
God.
"You saved us" at the first week anniversary of Ollie Mabel saving the building from Jan's explosion? Like, how cool was that? I
That
want
was
that as my birthday cake.
that was super cool. And I always wonder, like, how do people get in their regular day, lives, get these kinds of amazing cakes? There's no one around here that makes something like that. And it was fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a beautiful cake, and I wanted to jump in there and get a slice, even though I'm vegan and I wouldn't probably eat it. It's just, it was cool. It was great. They were having that little get together with their fans.
Yeah. But it was
I
it was
love
nothing
that.
fancy. It was not a fancy cake, but I'm sure they have like vegan cakes, and it looked like it was like a sheet cake with just like the fancy candle and the words. But ooh, that cake was just so mouth-wateringly delicious. I loved it. So can we now switch gears and talk about the retirement party? Okay, before we talk about that, did I say that I love Howard? Like he
Yes, you did.
decorated He decorated Bunny's apartment and then had that happy retirement cookies and then like fusses over when Bunny says she's not retiring. And then he's taking like the meeting note, like his meeting note taking skills are just amazing.
I mean, it's thanks to that the group knows what all of this about the last meeting. But
Yeah.
that was really eye-opening. I mean, I think it puts Nina's character a bit like as a nefarious one.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
Howard, I don't know, something's up with him. I don't know. I think it's going to come out later, but he's just an odd duck, and I'll
I
just
love
say
him.
that.
He's so amazing. He's a cat daddy. And I'm a cat mama, so I kind of have an affinity for cat daddies. So I know that last time we were talking about the tie dye sweatshirt, and I was like, I want that sweatshirt. So in this episode, we see how she got that tie dye. Because I was wondering about that, like, how come she ended up wearing that sweatshirt? So yeah, this is where like Ollie Mabel they give her the tie dye sweatshirt.
It definitely answered that question because, yeah, that was strange that she was in those clothes when she was murdered. And does it also tie the fact that she comes back to that apartment? Like
Hmm.
that's where they find her, because that was kind of where everyone saw her last.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
she maybe thought they were there and was returning there.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then also towards the end, we see the potential killer walk out of the elevator and knock at her door. But again, we don't know if they are the killer, but yes, it is shown that way, like the way it's shown in the show, that it may not be the full story. We gotta wait and see, but it looks like that could be the potential killer.
Killers, I don't think we know. I think there's so many possibilities, like you said last time. Like we maybe should do our own like omit B kind of podcast here and list who we think the suspects are and what they're doing. We could easily do that. There's plenty of suspects. I'm not ruling anyone out at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was kind of trying to theorize so many things. Oh, could it be Alice? Could it be Nina? Could it be this? Could it be that? But it's just too soon. Even like in the third episode, I don't think we have, you know, the full picture of what the real story is and whatnot. There's just simply too many threads to pull on.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's just every episode I kind of expect my interest to wane a little bit and it doesn't. I mean, this it gave us a few answers, not everything,
Yeah.
but it just keeps building and building, and I love that suspense.
Yeah, I mean, I say it every time and I'll say it again. I absolutely love this show. I mean, it's funny, it's entertaining, it's witty, and it's a murder mystery with plenty of comedy and amazing cast and characters, and their chemistry is organically brilliant. I mean, it's not a perfect show, but it's so like cozy and warm and fuzzy overall, like how Amy Schumer describes that it being like cozy murders, which is kind of a really weird way to say murders, but yeah, I just love this show.
You know what I was wondering? If Bunny, obviously the whole point is that Bunny died, but I really would have loved to see the fight between Bunny and Nina if she didn't step down and what would have happened. I think that's like drama there, and I love that kind of drama.
Again, I mean, we still have a bunch of episodes to go, so we don't know everything that happened in that 24 hours that from the time that that altercation happened to the time that she was killed. So who knows? Maybe there's more there.
Maybe. We'll wait and see on that, I guess.
Yep.
What did you think of this episode? Leave your comments below. If you like our content, please remember to hit the like and subscribe button. Until the next episode, thanks for listening.